with Gina.
The news with Gina Grad.
President Trump has extended the social distancing guidelines through April 30th. There was talk of loosening all this up by Easter, but we're going to push that back a couple of weeks. He also made headlines for bragging about the millions of people tuning in to view his daily press briefings on the pandemic, saying on Twitter, I think we have it, that his average ratings matched a season finale of The Bachelor, according to Reuters. Trump tweeted, because of the ratings of my news conference, etc., are so high, Bachelor finale, Monday Night Football type numbers, the media, the lamestream media is going crazy, all caps. And he went on to say, Trump is reaching too many people. We must stop him, said one lunatic. See you at 5 p.m. Trump's daily corona. Yeah.
What do you think Trump, I was thinking about it. Trump bringing up the fact that he issued the quarantine or issued the no-fly folks from China, you know, I don't know. It was like January 21st or 31st or something, whatever it was, like 10 days. He weaves it in, like whenever he's doing the press conference, they talk about masks and they talk about testing, and then he subtly slides in. It's a good thing I did it's a good thing I stopped the flights in from China when I did. And I thought, over under on the amount of times he brought that up versus times I talked about being an all-Valley football player. You think we'd be tied?
Oh, he is closing the gap.
He's closing the curve.
He's flattening the curve.
Right. Now, I spread this out over 37 years. He's had to make it all up in the last 7 weeks.
Yeah.
But I think
he's got some catching up to do.
But he's going to get me. I think he's going to
get there.
I think he's going to get there.
I think you might be right. So meanwhile, Washington State public radio station KUOW has stopped running his White House briefings, and they say it's due to a pattern of false or misleading information provided that cannot be fact-checked in real time. So, you know, when you go off the script a little bit and it can't be fact-checked in a way that, you know, is reportable, they're bowing out. Coronavirus.
Everybody hears. I feel like if Trump opens his mouth, it's got to be fact checked. I mean, not fact checked, but your brain is. I mean, look,
grain of salt.
Doesn't everyone have a crazy Aunt Connie who she's comes in and she starts talking about something, and she was like, you know, we were at Epcot Center in Orlando, and I was asked by a staff member if I was Jewish. And you go, what do you mean you were asked? Yeah. She wanted to know before I got onto the ride.
The teacups.
No. You're like, is that just crazy? That's just her talking. It doesn't, look, we all know those people. I feel we should know
Indeed.
that.
Yeah,
everyone needs to know what
Trump has reached crazy Aunt Connie status. And whatever they say, you're in your mind, you're like, that can't be true. That can't be true. There must be a version of that that's true.
Yeah, some of it may be. You know,
yeah, there's a version. There's some. It's from a germ of truth.
This is we're living in a weird world where Trump may just go full Lamborghini on everyone's ass, which is Lamborghini was a very wealthy and successful tractor builder, and as an industrial guy, he made himself a lot of cash. And he bought himself a Ferrari. And then he had some troubles with the Ferrari. And he went in to talk to Enzo. And he's like, hey, man, you got a few things wrong with your car. Let me tell you how to improve them. And Enzo's like, get the fuck out of my office. And he's like, well, fuck you then. And he just went back to the place that was making tractors. And he's like, hey, new plan. We're making sports cars. That's our new thing. And maybe Trump will just have his own media company. Maybe it'll just be the Trump channel. Like maybe
Bloomberg can.
I think that's the plan from the beginning.
From the beginning, like it's going to be it. Like, all right, you're not reporting on me, or I don't like a fake news or whatever it is. Or I'm just having my own. Let's put my own camera up here and we'll just do our own thing.
In, watch a little Trump TV.
That's where we're going. I think.
All the kids can have their own show.
Right.
I'd tune in.
I would too. Yeah.
Coronavirus cases in Louisiana, which we spoke about the other day, spiking at an alarming rate. Despite that, a pastor at a church near Baton Rouge is defying a ban on large gatherings, continues to lead Sunday services of more than 1,000 congregants in attendance. It's Pastor Tony Spell of the Life Tabernacle Church. He says he'll continue welcoming people to his Sunday and Tuesday services because he doesn't believe anyone's at risk of catching this virus. He told the reporters, quote, "It's not a concern. The virus, we believe, is politically motivated. We hold our religious rights dear and are going to assemble no matter what someone says. This is an extreme test brought on by the spirit of Antichrist and the mystery of lawlessness." As of this reporting, there have been 65 reported deaths in Louisiana. There's an online petition calling for the arrest of Pastor Spell. I believe Liberty University, Jerry Falwell Jr., either is still open or was still open until very recently for, similar reasons.
Well, let's thin the herd a little bit. You know what I mean?
At this point,
what are we talking?
I know that. I assume that's a joke, but at this point, with all the information we have and all the experts, literal experts, Dr. Fauci and on down, telling us what to do and how to handle this, if you're defying it at this point, that's on you, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm actually surprised there's not more of it. I mean, if you think about this country, think about religious folks. You know what I mean? Think about, only God. I take my orders from God. I don't care about the man. I'm surprised that there are as little of it, these instances, as there are. I would bet you, I'm wondering if you went back 75 years when we were more religious, if there wouldn't be more defiance of this stuff. If there wouldn't be more people going, fuck it, I'm going to church anyway.
But if you're religious, you're good at, I would think that you'd be really good at following rules.
Yeah, so but not man's rules, God's rules. Not Mayor Garcetti's rules, the Almighty's rules.
Not Moses Garcetti.
I think there'd just be a lot more of it. Like there was a lot more like frontier justice and stuff like that.
It's interesting though, and I'm not talking about these congregants anymore, and I know that it's easy for this kind of conversation to go off the rails, but you think of like preppers and like doomsday preppers. They're great at like gathering ammo and food and masks and shelter and oxygen.
This is their time to shine.
It's a little confusing as to who's on what side and why. I feel like we have all of a lot more in common than we realize.
Well, there's X amount of crazy people in any population that is not going to do whatever it is you ask them to do. There are X amount of defiant people that are just, if the reason the United States is United States, because we're not going to listen to what the guy in the, on the mountain is going to have to tell us. Right. So there's going to be a percentage of whatever version of this is. There's going to be a percentage of people that aren't going along.
Right.
And they're going to defy it. Some are going to defy it because they're nuts, and some are going to defy it just because they're defying it. Like, you can't tell me I can't go outside.
You're right. I politely referred to it earlier on the show a few days ago as a philosophical resistance. But whatever it is, whether you're religious or whatever the thing is, some people are defiant. Who knows? Some people are just not going to toe the line.
Yeah. But I do mean, hey, if you're nuts and you're morbidly obese and you want to get together with other like-minded, heavy-set folk that are insane, you don't need to have kids. You need more of you. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I wonder what you guys think of President Alexander Lukashenko in Belarus.
Love that guy.
Yeah. Countries are closing their borders, hospitals struggling with surge of cases, and some of the most repressive societies in the Soviet Union carrying on business as usual. Their leaders prescribe unusual remedies amid this pandemic. So maybe we're working smarter, or we're working harder, not smarter. So they talk about Belarus in this article. It's a small country in between Russia and the European Union member Poland. President Alexander Lukashenko has shrugged off all these concerns about COVID-19, tells people that hockey, vodka, and a traditional sauna called banya are the best cures for COVID-19. He's ruled the country of 9.5 million people for more than a quarter of a century and has imposed a few restrictions to prevent the virus spreading any further. Restaurants, parks, bars, everything's open. Mass sporting events, all on schedule, attract huge amounts of spectators. And of course, this is defying the World Health Organization's recommendations. And the Belarusian Premier League is now the only soccer competition on the continent. But apparently, it's just been a lack of hockey and vodka and saunas.
I think he's got something with the sauna. I'm not sure about the vodka. Exercise and sauna, probably good. Folks,
and I think this virus does not like hot weather, so saunas are good.
Yeah, if the vodka's over 100 proof, you can sanitize with it.
They've been talking, just dump the vodka on you and get in the sauna and don't light a match. We've started talking about saunas and cold dips and hot, extreme, extreme stuff. I'm sure whenever they come out with data, it turns out sauna's good. So maybe people start thinking about that. Exercise, good. Not sure about the vodka part. But on the other hand, we don't have, if you talk to, like when I was talking to Ed Calderon, and he's the guy who grew up in Tijuana, and then he was part of the police force, and then he came out here, and now he's a sort of advisor, lecturer, and defense or self-defense and security and all that kind of stuff. You talk to them about Mexico, they don't have the same relationship with death that we do. Like, it's not as big a deal there as it is here. We make a big, we got a big deal. It's a big deal for us. Yeah. And other countries, they don't have that relationship. It's a little more casual. Like for us, we make a lot of proclamations if one person dies, and that's one too many, and blah, blah, blah. Most of these countries around the world, they don't have that. They don't have that vibe when it comes to death. And so we kind of expect everyone to act like we're acting or to listen. And we are more evolved. Like, don't get me wrong, but good luck talking them into that. Like Mexico, death is kind of a regular thing. It really is. And also, as we kind of alluded to in prior shows, it's kind of like the inner city. You know what I mean? Could you imagine if that shit was going on in Pasadena and the Palisades? Imagine if the shootings that were going on in the inner city of Chicago were taking place in the Palisades or Santa Monica. I mean, it'd be total insanity. It'd be total insanity. So it's like there's a different relationship with death that people have that just live in that neighborhood than live in the Palisades. And then there are whole countries that are that way. Belarus, maybe one of them.
One of them.
All right, what else we got, Gina?
Seinfeld co-creator and Curb Your Enthusiasm creator Larry David and American media executive, yes, he's a real person, Lloyd Braun, have started a GoFundMe page for Riviera Country Club caddies who are out of work in the midst of all this pandemic. It says on the GoFundMe page, with the golf course closed indefinitely, the Riviera caddies need our help. Please contribute to help our caddies get through this unprecedented time. This is located over in Pacific Palisades in California. It hosts the Genesis Invitational. Adam Scott won it in February. I only know of one Adam Scott. I believe it's that Adam Scott. It says the club is closed as statewide shelter-at-home order has been issued, with courses in California closed as they are seen as non-essential, though in states like Connecticut, they are allowed to operate. As of this recording right now, they have $127,000 in donation. They want a goal of $150,000. Larry David donated $5,000, it looks like, per the page. Tom Brady pitched in $2,000. And I was going through, a lot of the big donors are anonymous, but it's great. And just as expected, a lot of the $5, $10 are just so somebody can put up a Seinfeld quote or say something about Lloyd Braun. So it's working. Like someone just wrote for $10, somebody put, "Your mother was right. You never could compete with Lloyd Braun." There's a lot of Lloyd Braun jokes on here.
Oh, nice.
I worked very closely with Lloyd Braun on a number of sitcoms. So I know Lloyd pretty well. I don't normally take this road, but the average income from the average guy who has the Riviera Country Club membership, I mean, how much is that country club? 200, 250 grand a year? I mean, these country clubs, they're not 18 grand a year. Mm-hmm. They're 200 grand a year. Like, they're really super expensive. Lloyd and Larry David and, of course, Tom Brady and whomever. These guys have tons of money. Now, I'm not this guy, as I've said. Like when Zuckerberg gives $8 million to malaria relief, I go, good for him. I don't go, he could give more. He's a billionaire. I go, no. But these guys are the guys who use these caddies. Like that's their caddy. Their caddies at their club, and they all have more money than God. So like in this particular case, it's kind of their group. Like, don't you feel like they could just take care of them if they needed to? Or certainly the country club. What do you think? What's it take? Like if I wanted to join Riviera Country Club tomorrow, what would it cost?
The first thing that comes up, and by the way, apparently there's a pro golfer named Adam Scott. I got excited that it was the actor.
I don't think the actor won the Open tournament.
Maybe it was a celebrity tournament. So the first thing that comes up is from something called Outside the Cut, and this is from 2019. It says, become a member, $300,000. The only surefire way to guarantee yourself a tee time at Riv is to become a member. It's not nearly as exclusive or difficult to join as Riv, blah, 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 but it'll set you back $300,000 for initiation.
300. If you got 300, I don't know, some of these guys are grandfathered in or whatever, but 300 grand to join. Like what if a Costco costs 300 grand? The point is everyone in that Costco would be rich if you ever walked into that Costco, right?
Tycoons.
And there'd be guys like they'd go, the old lady'd go, you want some cheese samples? And they'd be like, I've brought my own samples, my dear. And the guy'd pull out Jeeves would pull out his own thing.
Actual truffles.
Yes. I'm saying I think the members there could take care of the caddies or certainly float them for several months until this whole thing blows over. I'm not sure that we need to do this GoFundMe page. I don't care. I don't have super strong feelings on it, but I don't know how many members, but could they all just get together and pony over $4,000 and take care of everyone?
Some of the, like I said, Larry David, who started the page, kicked in $5,000, and a lot of the anonymous people are anywhere from, $500, $1,000, $2,000. But like you said, these are their caddies. So
how many caddies do you think you think there's 25 caddies?
That's a good question.
By the way,
25.
I would bet you that is quietly a pretty fucking killer gig.
Oh, yeah.
Like in my pantheon of gigs where, hey, things didn't work out after high school, but they still can. Being a caddy at Riviera, it's exclusive. First off, it's beautiful country. If you guys know where it is, it's right off of Sunset there, sort of around where OJ's old house was, I think.
Okay.
Is that Riviera there, or is it the other one that I'm thinking of? There's one that's more in Hollywood and one that's more on the west side. But anyway, I think Riviera is just off of Sunset over there as you're heading toward the beach. It's beautiful country. The fucking facilities are great. Everything is great. You're dealing with the richest people on the planet and the coolest celebrities on the planet, and they're probably tipping the shit out of you after each round. I mean, that is
just anyway.
That's a sweet gig. It's a sweet gig for a person that doesn't have a bunch of medical school in their background and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we're looking at it. Yeah, it's off of Sunset and Brentwood-esque, also sort of between Brentwood and Pacific Palisades and up there. It's beautiful, sweet gig. And I should say one of their 1,000 members should all put in $5,000. Like,
be done with it.
Take care of everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So The Late Show will have all new episodes this week starring Stephen Colbert. They'll be from his home. After taking a brief hiatus amid all this outbreak stuff, airing old episodes, Colbert's ready to return with all new shows. He announced on Twitter saying, I'm staying home, and so is everybody who works for me. But thanks to some amazing work by my staff and CBS Broadcasting folks, we will be back this week with new late shows. Until then, Jimmy Fallon, he's continued to post shows from his home on YouTube. He's going to return same kind of format, 2 guests and a musical performance each night. And it's going to be, patched together. I would imagine the similar way we're doing it.
Yeah, everyone has to do that because the optics will be horrible if these guys come back and are breaking rules,
Yeah.
Plus, think about the audience.
Yes.
Consider the audience, either like 50 people or nobody. It's going to be weird no matter what.
Oh yeah, there's going to be I don't think there's any audience. I think just
so if they were to
Buttigieg
do
was
the
the last
studio
try.
thing, what would they do with the audience? Would there be 20
right,
people?
right.
Or
There
would
wouldn't
zero
be
people?
anybody, and yeah, they have to do it this way. But they have the optics. You definitely have to do it this way for optics as well in this day and age. All right. Well, look, interesting. You know, I think about it a little bit. Like, hey, this kind of hanging out, working in your slippers, not too shabby. Like, I like when someone says, "Did you get the whatever?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's in my office," and I just run back upstairs and grab it. Versus, I'll tell someone to bring it from my house. You know, starting to get comfortable here.
Yeah.
Let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm in my pajama pants, and I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
That was the news with Gina Grad.